Hello, baby. This is the Destinator. Welcome to Stiff Right Head, and today on the podcast, if you will, we got my baby doll known as Scarlett, my little English muffin. Well, enough of that bollocks. Hello, folks, and welcome to another edition of Stiff Right Hand. It's been a funny old week, this one. Been really busy. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you who listened to our first one. It was, considering it was only half an hour long, and we didn't really cover up anything in detail, or, didn't even cut anyone off that badly, to be honest. It was very, very well received. I think probably the only slightly negative one was said that it was too short, which it was. So, but it's got loads of downloads, loads of subscribers, which I'm absolutely chuffed to bits about. Honestly, I'm really, really, really thrilled that people gone out of their way to, whether it's on the way to work, during work, or whatever you decided to do. I think that's fantastic. I'm not feeling too good today. I've got some sort of miserable old stomach bug off the wife. It's Saturday morning right now, and my Saturday mornings involve me taking my wife and all of her stock to our lovely Pink Cakery, our wonderful shop here in Battle. That we own, that my wife runs. My wife today, who's going to be the topic, well, she's not going to be the topic, she's going to be my fucking guest on the show. She's going to be on here, discussing absolutely everything involving her, our business, her in the business, and everything in between. It's going to be quite eye-opening, I think, for a lot of people. And if you're a fan of wrestling and British wrestling, and I can't say too much other than the fact that it's going to be well worth a listen. She doesn't pull any punches, and that's going to be awesome. But anyway, back to the subject. First thing this morning, Saturday morning, I like to roll up to the shop and help her unload her stuff, and then we off I go to the gym. Have a breakfast with my friend Big Anthony. Hello out there, my man Big Anthony, who's a really, really awesome up and coming strongman in Hastings. He looks like a fucking enormous, terrifying Ron Weasley, this guy. He's painfully young as well. He's about fucking 6. No, he's young. He's not that young, but he's about 6'7", and he's built like a brick shithouse. I'm desperate for him to get involved in the wrestling. He keeps going all red, his little chubby red cheeks, going, I don't know if I want to, I don't know. Come on, fuck me, you look awesome. He would, he looks phenomenal. But Saturday mornings we normally sit down and shoot the breeze, have a coffee, have a bit of porridge. That's not a euphemism for anything it shouldn't be. And we sit around and put shit right. And in fact, he's going to be on this podcast at some point soon. But today I got in the gym, and I don't know if you ever one of those days you walk in and you just it ain't happening. It's like a revolving door. You feel shit. It doesn't matter how long you sit around talking, drinking coffee, it ain't fucking happening. That's what happened today, and it really pissed me off. So spun around and came home again. So I thought, well, fuck it, I'll record this intro before we get Scarlett on, and that's that. I had the amount of people. I just can't believe it. I was just having a look on my Facebook account now. People still talking about Game of Thrones and the fact that I haven't seen a single episode yet, and it actually pisses people off that I haven't watched a show. Can you believe that? It pisses people off that I haven't watched something that they fucking like. Fucking hell. I like University Challenge. I don't give a fuck if you don't watch it. But now I just find it incredible that the amount of people. I think I got put off it because this stupid fucking idiot wrestler who used to knock around called Kerry Cabrera, in describing Game of Thrones to me when it first came out, said it's got loads of tits and lesbians in it, and it was set in the sword times. That was enough to put me off watching that fucking show for life. And I thought, well, there's loads of geezers going around, giant geezers with beards, loads of demonic women with their tits out. That's my life anyway. What the fuck what do I want to tune in for that for? That's how I roll anyway, dude. So, Game of Thrones, fuck you. Everyone going, there's a leaked episode this week. We've got to say, fuck you. It's the internet now. Everything's got to be the best, doesn't it? Every episode's got to be the best. It's got to be the best thing anyone's ever seen. You know, how the people reacted in the 70s when they saw the fucking Sweeney? You know, get a grip, people. Right, we've got a couple of shows I said that I'd plug, shows that we're going to be involved with. We've got our Team EWW, which is Skarlett, Critical Masses, myself and Titan and Aaww. We're going to be headed up to Gosport at the RNA Club on Fareham Road on Wednesday, August the 30th. It's an unusual night to do wrestling on a Wednesday night, but it's, of course, the end of the kids' holidays, so there's going to be loads of horrible little council house kids with baked bean juice all over them, so it's going to be a perfect opportunity for us to go out there and make some children cry while we beat up their heroes, Flatliner and Andy Simmons. So that's that one if you're in the area. Check it out. The second one is September, Friday 15th, and Saturday the 16th. It's our friends over in Norwich, Bellatrix and World Association Wrestling War. These two shows are going to be going out live on Fight TV. The first one, Bellatrix, is the stars of Bellatrix against the Americans from Rise and Shimmer. It's going to be hosted by WWE Hall of Fame star Medusa, so it's going to be absolutely amazing. It's a real coup for them to get her over. I'm personally looking forward to this one because obviously it's a big, a huge grandstand match for Scarlett. She goes title versus title with the Shimmer champion Mercedes Martinez. That's a lot of people looking forward to that one. So then so am I. And the next night, of course, the guys do their thing and got a lot of big stars over there. Obviously, the Commissioner Scott Hall, Mr. Kennedy. We've got a whole bunch of people that are going to be over for that one. So again, support these guys, and if you do go, make sure you tell them that Dominator sent you.
He once punched his mother in her mammary glands. It's angry Stu Allen of stiff right hand.
Lovely, nice. Thank you there to my mate Chris Mann's Flatliner for doing a few little sound bites for me. So that's one of them. You'll hear a lot of them as and when I choose to send them out. Right, I'm here now with my wife. You know her as the Bombshell from Hell. She's the over 2 years now. She's been British Women's Champion for Bellatrix, and she is my EWW World Heavyweight Champion at Extreme World Wrestling. She's also been voted by our friends at Ring Wars as the best female wrestler for 2015 and 2016. Hello, Tarnya.
Hello, Stuart.
This is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit weird.
Sitting in our house.
I like your headphones.
Thanks. You don't get any.
I don't get any.
It's just
jobbed off.
It's just to show you that I'm in charge.
Okay, how's that working for you?
Well, not great. When I got the headphones on, I'm in charge. So
no, it's not.
Right. So I know you've been very busy today and you're very tired, but we got to do this. We've had we set up the Stiff Right Hand page today, and I just put out there that we were doing this kind of ad hoc, and already had a shed load of questions from wrestling fans. Some we know, some we don't know, that people want to ask you. But I'm going to just start straight from the beginning and ask you about your upbringing, your childhood. Can you tell me about what you were like as a child and where you're from?
I am from Buckinghamshire. I'm from a shithole in Buckinghamshire called High Wycombe. And more specifically, an even shittier shithole in a shithole called Micklefield. And as a child, I guess I was quite typical. I was very tomboyish. I lived in fantasy lands. Oh, I know, right? I lived in fantasy lands a lot. I love reading. I was pretty good at shinning up a tree and setting things on fire. And
yeah, you were an arsonist, weren't you?
Allegedly.
Yeah, I heard some stories about some schools being burnt down or something. Is this true?
No.
Okay. So so you're a tomboy growing up. You're one of how many kids?
5. I grew up as one of 5, yeah.
They're half brothers and sisters, aren't they?
Yeah, so I'm one of 7 in total, but I'm the only one of my stock and lineage.
Well,
which is probably for the best.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with that. Well, tell me what were your... I can remember vividly what my first memories of seeing wrestling for the very, very first time were and how I felt about it. Can you tell me, what do you remember the first time you ever clapped eyes on wrestling and what your immediate thoughts were?
I loved Macho Man immediately. And Ultimate Warrior. Never really got on with Hulk Hogan. Always found him really phony.
He always speaks highly of you.
Well, everyone does, darling.
So the first thing you saw of wrestling wasn't British wrestling, it was the American stuff.
Yeah, it was. And I was always really drawn to the larger than life, like colourful characters, but also the big strong dudes, because that is why you watch wrestling, isn't it? You don't watch it to see guys that don't look like they can have a fight. But my most vivid memory of watching wrestling and being a fan was being really, really upset at the Undertaker Yokozuna casket match. Do you remember?
That's the one where I think a lot of people realise that the job was as it is, and they're like, hold on a minute, they've taken this too fucking far.
Well, because I got really, really upset because that was when all the other guys from the locker room came out.
That's when he died and went to heaven, wasn't it?
Yeah, and his soul went up into the sign, and it was just, it really distressed me because Undertaker was my favourite, and I didn't want him to lose, and also I didn't want his soul to come out and go up into the rafters. It was really distressing. So then I had to have it explained to me, and then I still I don't know. I always believed in it.
But what was can you remember the first match that you saw?
No, do you know? I can't even answer that honestly because I don't know whether it is the first match that I saw, or whether it's like an old match that my brain is telling me that it is, because I've seen a lot of wrestling.
So basically, it was the flamboyancy, the colours, the characters, the over the top nature that drew you to it. Was there any point where you thought, this is something I want to do?
It was always something that I could dreamed of doing. I was just like any other kid. We'd go to the woods and like tie skipping ropes around trees and stuff and make a ring and try and beat each other.
I was wondering how I was going for a minute.
And try and beat each other up and do stuff. Just like, you can't get kids to not play wrestling. That's just insane.
So how old were you when you first saw it? About 6?
Yeah, about 5 or 6.
And when was the first time you thought, I want to go find a wrestling school?
Oh, I was just I never knew how to do it. It was always something like that was a dream. And it wasn't until I actually had the opportunity, which was when I was doing a modelling job, like years and years later in my adult life, with a girl called Tasha. And she was a training wrestler, and she was like, oh, come along. This is really fun. You'll really like it. And I didn't think it was something you could do in... I'm just actually lying. There was the FWA thing, but...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I wanted to go to one of their academy things. There was something that I looked at before then. But then I don't know, I just got douche vibes from it. So I was like, no.
You'd have been right. I mean, you weren't into the dirt sheet scene or like the newsletters or any of the underground, like obviously before the internet there was a huge dirt sheet scene where guys would write all the inside stuff about wrestling and what was going on. That's personally how I found out how wrestling school existed. So you didn't know anything about that. You were approached by somebody.
I knew about Power Slam and WWF magazine, and that was all I needed.
Wow. Okay, so your friend Tasha got involved. So tell us what happened after that.
So I went on to this one session and just had a natural affinity. Like, obviously, I loved it. And that was it. I guess that's all she wrote. And then I knew that wrestling was mine and I was it, and that was forever. What I didn't know was that it was a really, really bad place to start out.
Well, tell me more about that. That's what we're here for.
Okay, so I started off in a training school in Banbury, and such was my first session that I was doing suicide dives over the top rope before I could look up properly. And actually, probably for the first year or so of my career, I could do no technical wrestling whatsoever. But boy, did I think I was fucking hot shit, because if you needed a stunt doing, I was your girl. But literally nothing other than, like, I could wear fishnets and jump off of stuff. Was that just because you were a female and that's what they thought females could do, or they didn't think to teach you the basics? I think it was like a little of both, to be honest. But when it's the blind leading the blind, I wouldn't say there was any any real leaders there, and I wouldn't say there was any quality teaching or leading that school. So if you are in that situation, and in hindsight, looking back, like obviously it was a bad place to start and a bad place to be, and that's why I had to retrain, and that's why my journey has become the way it has. But when you're in that situation and you don't know any better, it's easy just to like bob along and just like swim along with the current, right? So I didn't know that was a bad school. I didn't know like there wasn't any teachers of quality there. I just knew these guys were my peers, and that I was always going to like try and do my best.
They had a 20x20 wrestling ring, so to you that was wrestling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it was just as big then in perspective being in that ring as it seemed to me as a child watching it.
So were the guys being taught, differently to the way that you and the girls were?
To be honest, at the beginning at that school, I always felt like I had a fucking easy ride. Because I was straight away on the shows because, hey, I'm a girl with tattoos and I look good in black pleather and PVC. Like, straight on the shows. Which I guess is the case still now and has always been the case. But I wasn't ever, I don't know, it never sat right with me because I always wanted to be better, at least for myself.
So you knew you were shit?
Oh, I fucking knew. Of course I knew I was fucking shit.
Did you get any nasty injuries over that period when you were training?
I got loads of injuries. Absolute fucking loads of
So you're the usual not tucking the chin, head bumps, fucking...
Yeah, there was one time that we were doing the whip over the top rope, sunset flip pin. That whole shit. And I wasn't taught what to do. It was just literally slingshot, spike. And that was my first ever spike injury. And do you remember how long it took to train me to leave my feet? Because I carried that with me for so long. I was terrified of flip bumps because of it. Like, imagine being a fucking wrestler that can't and won't do flip bumps because they're scared to leave their feet. Especially when you're like I'm light, I'm small, I'm light, I'm fast. Like, it shouldn't be a problem. And it isn't a problem now.
So I guess they could see that you had some athletic ability because obviously you'd done sport.
Well,
you've done some martial arts, you've done some gymnastics, so you're able to do probably a lot of stuff that a lot of the other trainees weren't able to, and you had a good look.
Understanding because I've always been passionate about wrestling. I love wrestling, I always have. So to carry that and just understand it a little bit and understand what makes a good wrestler and what makes somebody watchable is an asset.
Yeah, the thing to me is like when I first ever got you to train with me, which took some fucking time.
My God.
Because I said to you, when I kept badgering you and said, if you want to be on my shows, you've got to start again.
Do you remember that conversation where you told me I was shit over dinner?
Over many things. I said, you've got to learn again because you don't know anything. And to be perfectly honest...
You said specifically... I hate to tell you this, but you're not as good as you think you are.
Yeah.
And I was so angry. But you're right.
Well, I also said to you, you come to me when you're ready to train. I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you anymore. You come to me, and of course you did. And I was, and still am surprised at how quickly you've taken to the technical stuff. Because I honestly thought you'd find that really boring. Because obviously, growing up in the Attitude Era, you'd have seen things like China and Lita, etc., etc. So I kind of thought that was what you wanted to be. I didn't realise that you had a real penchant and a real flair for the technical stuff. That only came out later on.
The thing is, growing up in the Attitude Era made me appreciate looking back and seeing Adrian Street and Miss Linda and great psychologists like Klondike Kate and just like... And the wonderful, wonderful little niche that British wrestling was. And all the magic around it. Because there was a legitimacy to British wrestling that the American stuff didn't have. And I don't know whether it was like the lack of production or flamboyancy, or maybe it was just like it wasn't about the storyline so much. But there was just something about that.
The fact that they didn't need pyros to get over it. People were popping and buying it for the... sport. Right, exactly. So but you studied up on it, didn't you?
Yeah,
you started studying it and looking up to to the old school people who laid the path for where we are now. like people like Jane and, Sue and people like that.
Well, I'm very, very lucky to count those people as my peers now. And I know that if I ever need any extra advice or any critique or just anything, I can go to Sue and I can go to Jane and I can even go to Adrian, and that's wonderful. Wait, who else can say that?
Well, the fact that Adrian wrote about you in his book, having only seen one of your matches, and said he and Linda were hooked from the get-go. I mean, I trained with Adrian and lived with Adrian for months, and all I got was beaten the shit out of. And it took me a long time to get Adrian to give me any praise, and because he was like a father figure to me. So when he turned around and did that and said that you've taught her the right way, that meant an awful lot to me, and I know it did you as well. But what was your first, when we first met and I first contacted you, tell the listeners about that, because obviously not many people know about that.
Okay, so this was just the time that I wasn't very good. Thought I was awesome, but was essentially a glorified red-haired spot monkey Mark II. So I got a Facebook message from the Dominator, tiny little squee, because obviously I'd seen you wrestle, I'd seen you on camps, I saw you at Pyramid, I'm pretty sure, I've seen you at Butlins, so and also I read Power Slam, wow, whatever, so I knew who you were. I also knew that LDN was taping for TV. I've always been aware of the scene. It's important that you know that stuff. You sent me a message asking me to be your valet, which is like, you may as well just called me a fucking cunt, to be honest, because it's like, I always found that like very deeply offensive. Like, I'm never going to be the girl that just like walks out with a guy that points, looks pretty, and adds nothing to the situation. That's just not why I'm in the business. That's not what I want to do. I'm a female wrestler. Well, I'm a wrestler, gender, whatever. So I gave you a bit of attitude, and I was like, well, I want a spot, or I'm not going to do it. And you were so taken by the fact that that for once a woman hadn't thrown herself at your feet and agreed to everything you wanted and given you attitude, that you were like, brilliant. Why don't you come down? And then I drove down to... I
was in Tottenham, wasn't it?
It was in Tottenham, yeah, that's right.
At
Tottenham.
the Art Centre in Totteridge for LDN.
For LDN, yeah, it was one of their tapings. And you were wrestling, was it Ricky Hype that night?
No, it was a tag match. It was me and B Ray against the Welsh Assembly.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm remembering it completely wrong.
I think
it was the two younger guys. It wasn't the Welsh Assembly. It was...
I don't recall anyway. I remember it was me and B Ray and you you came out and you did a couple of little high spots in it. And I remember being there with my ex at the time, and she was very, very suspicious at the chemistry that we immediately had.
To be fair, I didn't really help that.
No, you didn't.
But it was just weird because the moment I saw you, I knew I was going to marry you. It was like just one of those crazy affinity moments where I was like, oh boy.
Sanjay said the same thing about me, actually.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? And then from then, I guess we ended up getting together, and it was probably several months that I introduced you to the Hive, which is where I was teaching. And said I wanted you to be part of EWW, which was getting a rebrand at the time with my old partner Billy Wood. And
this was before the Hive, so the rebrand of EWW happened, and I was put on your shows because I was your girlfriend, and not because I deserved to be there. Because by fuck I didn't, and I had some good opponents that you gave me to basically fucking carry me.
Like Jetta and Erin Angel.
And Erin, like, what an utter sweetheart. But I didn't deserve to be there. And also, do you know what? Rightly so, the guys that were on that show didn't like me to start with for that reason. And I would be the same with anybody else, to be honest. Like, I totally understand why my beginnings at EWW were that way. But we did...
Well, we had the big tour, didn't we? We had the big tour. We brought over Raven, Scotty Too Hotty, And another guy we're going to bring over, I can't remember, Lance Cade, was it? But he died right before the tour, which was a bit.
We did that. It was in Coventry, and we did that show. And Raven was on it, and he was giving me feedback after the show.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time talking with you, didn't he? And teaching you.
And it was just like, it was cool, and he had like lots of good things to say. But it was just sort of like stuff that like I know, or like I knew, and then. Was it? I mean, I didn't tell. We did Hastings, and I tried so hard. The next show, like I literally like I remember Phil Bedwell helped me out so much on that show.
Well, no, after Coventry, we went up to Liverpool.
Oh God! And then it was worse.
And that was when I put you on with Marty Skull. And Marty, who's obviously doing huge things now, amazing things. Marty, a lot of people, don't know how to take Marty, but I've always got on well with him, and I think he's a hell of a talent and really, really good. But he was rightly unsure about doing a match with you. I think not that he'd admit it to me, and that was in front of a huge house at the Olympia in Liverpool. Mm. So what are your memories of that?
I just remember one that Marty caught an attitude, and I went and told Mummy Jane. And she told me to smash his face in. And also, like, I felt in that match so fucking exposed. Like, literally, like, I don't fucking belong here. Like, and I didn't want to be a baby about that or anything, but it was just very humbling and eye-opening. And that's why, like, I would like to revisit Marty and be like, let's do this again, but let's do it with me now, because I don't want that to be, like, my last impression. But I just felt like he wasn't there for me. Like, he didn't take it seriously, and like it was all one big fucking in joke.
I wouldn't agree with that. Actually, I thought the matches were okay for what they were, but the reason, you know that, I mean, at the time you were refusing to learn.
Yeah.
So the only way to kind of get back at you and to make you realise was to put you on with better opponents. So Jetta, Erin, Marty.
I was fucking brash and arrogant then, and it was
wrong. Very. It was difficult. It was hard work keeping a leash on you, for want of a better phrase. Really. Do you know what I mean? It was difficult. So the only way to do that was to put you on with people who would expose you.
And it was just fucking it was dreadful.
And then the next night in Hastings, but again with Marty.
With Marty, but Marty with Phil at ringside, and Phil was cool.
And what was it I said to you before you went out?
You said that this was my last fucking chance. That's what you said.
I remember saying to you, this is your last fucking chance. If you don't fucking, if you fuck up tonight, you're finished. That's it. And I meant it as well. And it was different. It was fucking. It was fucking. I don't even. We weren't even married then, were we?
No. It was just. I think we were engaged.
Yeah, but it was difficult to have to say that. But I knew that was the only way you would actually realise. But you did step up, and that match was miles better. To
be honest, I spoke to Phil, and Phil helped me. And he was just like, you've got to learn to fucking listen. I was like, oh, okay. And it was cool. And they really helped me out. And I tried out a few new bits and pieces. And it was just like, do you know what? I've got to learn to trust who I'm in there with as well. Because I'm not making excuses. But from where I was brought up and how I came into the business, I've never trusted an opponent until that point. And I had no fucking reason to do it either, because I was only ever put on with fucking promoters' girlfriends, girls that thought they were veterans when they'd been doing it 5 fucking minutes, and just like attitude little fucking bitches that just never amounted to anything. And not anyone that ever, just like helped. You know, and that's why I'm so passionate now about our babies. And I always want to be that person for our trainees, because I didn't have that person until you gave me EWW, and then my locker room brothers started to make themselves known. And that was the first time that happened. So it was that was a crazy day, and that was fucking emotional for me, because I was just like, okay, right, I'm getting it. And I remember coming back after that match, and you just being like, well, fuck. Like, where the fuck did that come from? And I was like,
it was a huge relief. It was a huge relief. I want to, because obviously I've taken, a lot of the credit for for you as you are now, because I teach you week in, week out, but also one of the main people I would credit with your upbringing in wrestling is Julia Hamer, Saraya Knight, who I can't remember the specific time when she came to you and said she wanted to start using you on her shows. But tell us a little bit about your relationship with Julia and the Knights.
I have a strange affinity with Julia, and I think
It's because you're both witches.
Well, it is that. But I just think that I see a lot of me in her, and I think that she feels the same way. So it's just sort of, there are lots of similar experiences that we've been through. You know, we've had very similar lives, very similar upbringings. So there are things that are ingrained in both of our characters, like work ethic, etc., that are very, very familiar, and I think that's why we were drawn to each other. But I was first brought up to WAW to work with Little Raya. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
That was a great show. And that
was just before she went to WWE. It was her last, I think, one of her last ones.
Yeah, it was. And we were in Saraya's kitchen, Julia's kitchen, and do you remember she diagnosed my life? She told me things about me that
terrifying.
I've never told anyone, and was just like, okay, cool. So with Julia, I don't treat Julia with any fucking bullshit or ceremony or anything. Just like, I know that I can go to her, say what I've got to say, get what's off my chest, get what's on my chest off my chest. But like anything, I can go to her with literally anything, and she's going to meet me with the same honesty. And I think that's why she's taken that interest. And I think for that reason, that's why she saw that I needed that steady pair of hands and like the slow burning, like that sort of mentorship. Because like, I never needed anybody fucking blowing smoke up my arse. Like, that was like the most poisonous thing that anyone could ever do for me. What I needed was someone to be like, all right, prove yourself. Okay, well done, that was fine. But
I think she's been very, very instrumental in how far you've come. In the fact that she, like I say, you've represented her brand very, very well.
She made me work for it.
She made you work for it because she obviously put you in some, you know, what I'd consider babysitting matches. But she's also, you got your first pedigree, didn't you?
Oh, holy
on the second, which I knew was coming.
Oh, so did I. The moment I met Busty Keegan, Sue Thompson, who's utterly an angel, and I love her.
I knew that was your pedigree match, and sure enough it was.
I met her. She's this imposing woman who I know from her days as Kathy Keegan going and wrestling in Japan. With
she tagged with Klondike in Japan.
Fucking hard woman. Like, she is like tough woman. And I met her at the old Grapplers, and I went to shake her hands, and with the correct etiquette, because I was brought up and not dragged up in this business, went to shake her hand and introduced myself, and I was like, hi Busty, I'm Scarlett. And she absolutely death gripped my hand, and she went, yeah, I know. Like that. And I was like, oh boy, I'm going to die.
Yeah, I remember stepping back a little bit and I thought, oh shit, I know what's coming.
And it was just, to be fair, I probably deserved it. She utterly kicked my head in the most intelligent, like, brutal way as well. Like, that woman did not let me fucking breathe.
It was one of those old school beatings, which is like, you can't necessarily, if you're watching it back, you can't see it, but there's ways that she was leaning on you and you putting her hand on your stomach to help herself get up so you couldn't breathe again. She literally wouldn't let you breathe in there.
I had to powder like about 3 times just so that I could get a lung full of air, because she just like was not having any of it. And there was a point where I was just in a daze and all I could do was just keep getting up just to walk into her fist.
It was a rag bag and shag job, but afterwards she because you kept getting up and kept having a go. She did.
She came back to me backstage, and I sat in the locker room just like mortified, because like I was like, well, that was the fucking worst match I've ever had. I didn't do any of the shit I was supposed to do for whatever, and And I was utterly in a fucking daze, and everything hurt. And I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I was so despondent. And she came up to me in the locker room and she gave me the biggest, warmest hug. And she was just like, get up. She said, lift your chin up. She said, you're a tough bitch. And she was just like, just from that moment, the nicest fucking woman, which is just like, I guess it's a shame that isn't so much of a thing nowadays. And we don't have this rite of passage thing so much with the old school guys, because that interaction and that lesson that she gave me in front of Julia absolutely humbled me, but it made me so determined to be better and to be stronger.
Well, it was difficult for me to watch because I knew immediately as soon as I saw that match was booked, I knew what it was going to be, but I didn't tell you that. So I just thought, well, fuck it, this is, they obviously wanted that to happen for a reason, and it was very successful for a lot of reasons. I mean, you had to drive all the way back from Norwich, you were unconscious, trying to keep you awake. Yeah. You had a concussion, but now look at your relationship with Busty now. She's
fantastic.
She's been, again, another wonderful mentor.
She's been wonderful. I really have enjoyed. She's come all the way down to Hastings just to...
She's helped our academy.
And helped the academy, which is wonderful because we've got a new generation of male and female wrestlers that I'm helping teach. But they're meeting my mother and my peers and the people that I look up to. And it's wonderful to be able to pass that on. It really is. And that's like another great thing that Saraya has done for me. But she's been very instrumental in giving me like very, very clever challenges. Like, as you say, whether it's just babysitting and helping the younger girls just sort of like find their feet and get acclimatized to what they should be used to working for Bellatrix, or, giving what is essentially the lower card, but would you deny that I have made the lower card belt of Bellatrix very, very important?
Yeah, it's hugely important. Massively so. The fact you've had it for as long as you have, and had such a variety of opponents as well.
But that was because she gave me, she had the faith in me to do that. Like, it wasn't ever, oh well, let's give Scarlett a run and just like see what happens. Like, she knew that I was going to do something fantastic with that, and gave me the opportunity consistently to do that and to show myself in different ways. So it would just be like, my matches normally be like rag, bag and shag, I'm going to finish you off with a submission. And now it's like, I'll play this game with everyone like, well, I could finish it this way that you used to, but how is this going to be over this time? And that's like a new fun psychology thing that I like to play with. It's
funny because like, to me, I always credit the Knights for the reason why I'm still doing it, because when I was at Skull Crushers with Adrian, I did a tour of Jamaica. That was just horrendous. Then came over to the UK and did some stuff for Brian Dixon, and it was soul destroying. And one of the second or third show that I did, I think we were supposed to go and do one against Robbie Brookside and Doc Dean. Instead, we were sent up to Norwich at the old cattle market, which is famously terrifying, to wrestle the Superflies, Ricky Knight and Jimmy Ocean. And afterwards, Ricky said to me, what are you, where are you staying? And I told him I was at a hotel down the road. He said, look, you're going to be spending your money you've made. Come back to ours. And I remember, I was black and blue, feeling pretty shit, and went back to the Knight's house, and they fed me. I sat up till about 1 a.m, drinking beers with Ricky, watching old tapes of his stuff, and it was an absolute honour. And the next morning, they sent me back home on the train, and Julia made me a packed lunch.
So like Julia.
But I mean, it was like, what wonderful people, do you know what I mean? They didn't know me at all. We were inviting a stranger into the house to do that. So
the thing is, in this journey, is you meet some great characters like that, and Ricky and Julia are perfect examples of that. And I just like, there's a lot of shit.
There's a lot of shit that gets spoken about them, and I fucking always. I fucking hate that, because I've seen firsthand what they certainly did for me, and now in turn what they've done for you as well, and what they do for that's a great school up there, and they love the business. I don't know anyone who loves wrestling more than them. And like I say, the fact that they did that for both of us, but in different decades, speaks volumes about them, doesn't it?
The thing is, though, if you are just a genuine, honest to God, good person, you are open to people being fucking shitty to you, because that's the human condition.
Right, I just want to. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. Recently, there's been on Facebook a lot of stuff with another female wrestling promotion, and they've been getting a lot of publicity by saying that some of the female wrestlers are gay. We're coming out of the show as gay. One of the owners is bisexual. Blah blah blah. I know you felt quite strongly about this. Can you give me your thoughts on that?
Firstly, I do have a lot to say about this, but I don't want to make it a witch hunt of anyone or anything. And it's wonderful that women's wrestling is getting some headlines and women's wrestling is getting some media attention. That's freaking wonderful. And also, any lesbian, bi, transgender wrestlers, like anyone that's becoming more mainstream and opening up that conversation is wonderful for the LGBT community. That's fantastic as well. What didn't sit right with me was that in that article, the promoter said to the girl in question that she should come out in the ring. And that was the thing that I took issue with. Because, like, if it had been her decision, like, that's her consent, and then that's her motivation, like, that's what she wanted to do.
Well, of course, she said it was her decision.
Well, okay,
but that's not how the article read.
That's not how the article read, and that's why I was upset. Because that's not anybody's business to be telling another human being to do, especially so that your show gets more views and likes and everyone talking about it. It just seemed like a shitty, not very human thing to do. Like, especially when you're a self-professed feminist. I don't know. I think everyone's very, very fucking heavily into labeling everything at the minute, and I'm just like, I guess I'm old-fashioned in the way that I think your work should do the talking. I mean, there's plenty of labels you can throw around about me that would make things more interesting, but people don't talk about me in that way because I haven't opened myself up like that. I guess that's my personal choice.
The thing is, right? The promoter in question, they got good publicity from it, from Gay Times, etc., etc. But to me, it wasn't done on the fact that the shows were great or the wrestlers were great. It was the fact that these are girls that you're using, and because and guess what, they're gay. But when sexism ever, when sexuality ever been that important? It is 2017, and to me, it just seemed like, oh well, I'm bisexual, she's gay, blah blah blah. Throw us a biscuit.
I don't think it is important, and that's why I found it all a bit banal, really. Just because, like, it doesn't fucking, like, what you do in your personal life doesn't fucking matter. Like, we're all human beings made out of the same shit. Like what is it fucking? It's not gonna sell any more tickets because she likes Fanny and she likes Dick. Like, who gives a fuck? I don't know. I just found, like, ethically, it just didn't sit right with me that it was even suggested. I mean, like, nobody's ever come up to me and gone, Tarn, do you want to come out on my show? Like, so some people may know, some people don't know. I'm bisexual, I've dated women, I married a man. Okay? But does that make me a better wrestler? Does that make my gimmick more believable? Like, no. And, like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, I bet no one listening to this gives a fuck. Like, seriously.
No.
And it's just like, it's just the labeling. I have an issue with it. Like the feminism thing. Like, I have a problem with anyone that's like, I'm a male feminist. Like, whoop-de-fucking-do. What do you want, mate? A medal? Because, like, feminism boils down to this, right? You have a wife, yeah? You have a mum, your sisters, whatever. Like, so everyone has a fucking woman in their family. Everyone probably has a female best friend. Look at that fucking woman right now. listening to this, find a picture, fucking find something, just a memory, whatever, of the woman that you love most in your fucking life. And now tell me, in your heart of hearts, that woman doesn't deserve the same basic human fucking rights as you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Nobody is going to fucking tell me, no, my mum deserves to be a second-class citizen. No, like, it's bullshit. Feminism is maybe a bad word for what it is. It's not man-hating. And if your masculinity is that fucking fragile that it breaks with a word that begins with fem because it means feminine, like, it's bullshit. If you have a problem with feminism and its basic fucking core principle, which is all human beings should fucking have the same rights, then you're a piece of shit. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be handing out fucking medals and Smarties and good boy cookies to anyone that is a basic, decent human fucking being. So you don't need to be like, oh, I'm a feminist. It's all about the women. Feminism isn't all about the women. It's all about all of us. It's like men don't get raped. Of course they do. It's about all of us. We should all fucking treat each other kindly. We should all treat each other with humanity. And we should all treat each other with fucking love. And it boils down to that. Fuck the labels.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely, yeah, beautifully, succinctly put. It's like saying you're a feminist is like saying, I'm anti-racist. I like water. I like to breathe oxygen. So it should be.
Yeah.
But by immediately saying that's the first thing that people should know about you.
Yeah, but it's just it's for buzz, isn't it? It's just.
It is, but and it's to sell magazines and to.
I sold magazines without fucking buzzwords.
Yeah. I just, and we spoke about this with some of the people on, over Facebook and on Twitter, and a lot of people didn't agree with us on it. But I think hopefully now having listened to this, some people know what you're talking about, and the fact that we, it wasn't a case of we were going out there. Hating on people or being trolls. It wasn't that at all. It was like you're a good enough wrestler to be a wrestler. You're not doing a gay gimmick. Why even bother saying it?
I think that there's too much onus on how am I going to say so how X Factor contestants is like the guy with the sob story gets the fucking headlines. Okay, I'm not comparing coming out as being a lesbian or a gay man or whatever. I'm not comparing that to having a sob story on X Factor. This is a completely different point. But the guy on X Factor with the fucking sob story gets the extra fucking airtime, right? So wrestling recently, especially with social media, has become all about this, and it's become about I kind of understand about wanting to let people in and see more of you and kind of understand you. I get that to an extent. But also, I don't want my heroes and my peers fucking stripped bare for everybody to comment on. Okay? And I don't like that. And it's just everybody has got a fucking story. Everyone's got something nasty lurking. Everyone's got something that's either made them or broken them. And I certainly am the fucking same. But for me, it's about...
Wrestling's a fantasy world, isn't it? If we can't... it's like I was saying last week, about, you wouldn't see The Undertaker coming out and... coming out on Twitter and cutting anyone off. I think there's too much humanising now. Don't you agree?
I do agree, and I don't know. I just think self-esteem shouldn't be gained from people commenting on shit on Facebook and liking stuff. And wrestling is a fantasy, and that's partly why I was drawn to it as a child, because I had a really fucking horrific upbringing, okay? And it comforted me massively to know that at the end of the day, there was a world where bad guys fucking got their heads kicked in and the good guys won, okay? And that was so important.
Wrestling was always there.
It was always there, and it was so important for me to know that, the good guys were always gonna fucking do right, and the bad guys were always gonna get what was coming. And that's the same with my love for just books, and that's why I was always away in a fantasy world. It's why I love RPGs, just because I'm in charge of the fucking moral decisions in those worlds. And it's...
Well, like I say, I know all about your upbringing and the fact that, you know, you don't dine out on that like a lot of people do. You want to make, you know, the people we bring into the wrestling world, you want to make it a better place for them. And I think that's very, very admirable. You don't wear that as a badge of honour. You want to make good, and I think that's extremely important as well.
I do. I always said that I never wanted my story to be. Look, I don't want everyone to be like, oh, actually, what happened to her when she was like, it's all tragic. I was horrifically abused by my stepfather, physically and sexually, and it took me a long time to deal with that. And I protected my brothers and sisters growing up. I protected my mother growing up. And it's something that I have to deal with every single day. And it's something that I could very, very fucking easily be like, guys, I've overcome this, so like maybe some attention for me. And instead of making it about that, I chose to wear it as an armor so that I could do something, so I could be part of a change. And because I never had that adult there when I was younger. I just had these fantasy worlds where good guys were good and bad guys were bad, and that's where I fucking lived, just to take my mind away from what fucking reality actually was.
So wrestling was kind of your babysitter.
Wrestling was my babysitter. But I always said to myself that I wanted to grow up to be the adult that I needed then. And every day I tell myself that. So I have days where I fucking hate myself. I have days where I'm depressed. I have days where I don't want to do anything. But I have to stop and say, hey, do you know what? You fucking did it. Because nobody will ever treat me like that again. And nobody will ever treat anyone I love like that again. And to the point that, like Julia, I can recognize it in people. And there are girls, there are boys, there are people that I'm helping now, just going through the same stuff. And that's my penance even. I don't know, it gives me immense peace. And like, I don't do it so that everyone's like, oh, well, aren't you felt like, oh, you're just the best. Like, I don't do it for like, I don't want that. And maybe it will shock a lot of you people to know, because I'm very outspoken, I'm very open, I'm very honest, and I'm not guarded. And
I think the important thing is that, you know, as you're saying, which I can't actually remember off the top of my head, but it was be the person that you needed, wasn't it?
Be the person you needed when you were a child. And
I think that's amazing.
I think back to a time, like times when I was afraid, and like I have done it, and I don't know. It's easy to get complacent with stuff, but sometimes it's important to stand back and look at what you've actually achieved and what you've done and what you can do. So I just think about the business that I've built and what I've achieved in wrestling, and like I think about the guys at our school. I think about the guys that I'm helping with their personal stuff, and I hope that you're all listening, and I'm so proud of all of you, honestly.
Well, I think it's important to say as well. So many people say, "Oh, you know, if you've never been set foot in the WWE ring, then your career doesn't mean anything." I think that's absolute crap. I think there's men and women all over the world that have, deserved shots and things like that that never have and will never have the opportunity to do those things. You're certainly one of them in my eyes and in a lot of other people's eyes. But it shouldn't diminish the fact that, you shouldn't feel that, you haven't left an enormous mark on not just wrestling, women's wrestling as a whole, because you've taught so many young people getting into the business about the old school, and you've kept the old school flame alive, which I never ever thought I'd see, actually.
It's important for me to do that, because in a way it's like I'm paying back to something that I've drawn so fucking much from, and I need to do that, and I need to pay back, and I need to do this thing, and maybe it is a purely fucking selfish selfish thing and reasons for me doing it.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of people are abused when they're young, or for themselves. If you're, it's all said about Michael Jackson. Oh, he was abused. That's why he went on to abuse. Well, that's no excuse, is it? Because you were, and all you want to do is make good and help people. I think it's down to the individual.
I don't buy that. Just
no, nor do I.
You can either live your life consistently being the victim, like over and over and over again being the victim and blaming everybody else. And I'm not saying that anyone that's been abused, it's your fault. It's not. But what happens to you is in your hands. If you're in a shitty situation, get out of that shitty situation. If like you need someone to talk to, fucking hit me up. Like I understand. I really do. But one day you'll wake up and realize that, and you'll have this fucking spark in your heart where you go, actually, I deserve more than this, and I'm better than this, and this is the last fucking time that anybody treats me this way. And I got arrested. I got arrested for pulling a knife because he beat up my pregnant fucking mum.
Mm.
He was a piece of shit. I won't go into the stuff that happened with me, but he was awful. And I was made to feel fucking guilty when she passed away. Like I was lying to stop him from getting to his kids. And I had to dig and claw through fucking everything that ever happened to me growing up to protect other people. And if you can't fucking turn that into a shield to keep yourself safe, like,
and to help other people, like I say, we've got very vulnerable people who our academy. Got a lad who was homeless. We got females who've had similar sexual predatory experiences in wrestling who come to us.
The thing is with these people
for help is
they are never the people that actually do shout about it.
No.
And the guy in question, the homeless kid, his name's Taylor. Okay, and his parents moved to Wales, and he got left behind, and he was living in a garage, and I just utterly fucking broke. Like, he was going days without eating, and he was just like, and he was proud, and he didn't ask for help, and it's just like, I do remember like just like how much I cried when I found out, and I mean we went shopping with for him just to like put some fucking food in his belly. But do you know this boy Taylor, he has the most amazing attitude. Like, he is like literally one of the most humbling of our students, because he's so fucking happy. Like, the other day he wrestled through his wrestling boots that were old and secondhand, and he didn't give a fuck. He was just like,
he did a sunset flip over the top and literally went through his own wrestling boots.
And he was just like, it was like his only fucking boots. And he'd been training all this time with no fucking knee pads and not said anything, because he's just so fucking happy to be there doing what he loves. And it's such a fucking good, positive, amazing attitude. And do you know, the thing that our boys did that was amazing was everybody whipped around together and got him a new set of fucking gear and new boots and pads.
Well, that's why I love what we do, because our guys are our family, and I'm sure there's a lot of other schools up and down the country that are the same. And like I said, the one thing we all have got in common is the wrestling, and I think that's, it's incredibly, it's one of the main things why you're so protective about wrestling. When people slag it, they don't realise how much wrestling was there for you and helped you in many, parts of your life, really.
But that's also, my point is that just an attitude like that, just one simple bit of humanity and kindness, like, perpetuates fucking change. So my experience changed me. So then I can help the Taylors, I can help the Jesses, I can help those people, and in turn they can help them. And it's just like, and I hope that if my legacy isn't what I've done for women's wrestling, and it's actually that, I want you guys that are listening to this podcast to know why it was that I fucking done it, because I haven't spoken to anyone about this stuff. Okay, like my own husband, just, you barely know. You just know bits. Like, I just like, it's not something that
it's difficult to fucking
about.
It's difficult to fucking listen to,
because I just feel like it was a different lifetime, and I am not that girl that I was then. and I'm not scared, and I'm not naive. I'm none of those things. I'm not frightened anymore.
As a protective husband, the first thing I want to fucking do is, put the cunt in a box and send him seaworthy. But at the end of the day, you've been very brave to come out and talk about this. I wasn't expecting any of that. But
no, I didn't do it for those reasons. But like, in doing this, like, I hope that the girl that came out, like, knows that, like I have solidarity with her, but also, like, please, honey, don't be exploited. None of you be exploited, because we're all flavours of the month sometimes, but what's enduring is your ethic and your ability.
Mm-hmm.
Be consistent. Like, let your work do the fucking talking, because being a flash in the pan is wonderful, and having lots of attention is wonderful, but it will fade, and that won't be the thing that people remember about you. So let the thing that people remember about you be the change that you've inspired, or the fucking consistency and drive and hunger in your performance. Like, always let your fucking work do the talking.
Brilliant. I can't elaborate on that. I'm not going to. I'm going to now lighten things up a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, I got a bit dark.
No, it was good.
Let me just have some gin in a tin.
Oh.
Other gin receptacles are available.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, so let's go on to some readers' questions.
Okay.
We got our friend Jake.
Jakey?
Yeah.
Jakey Pugh?
Jakey Pugh buys all we do.
Jakey Pugh is friends with you.
Jakey Pugh, he does love stew.
Jakey Pugh, how do you do?
So Jake says,
all right, Jake.
Question for tonight's recording: is there anybody you have not had a match with that you would love to face, be it EWW or Bellatrix?
You little boring question, fuck.
That's a good fucking question.
No, it's boring. How'd you get in the business? Here's your inspiration. Blah.
I've already asked you.
Okay, so who would I like to have a fucking match with? Anyone and everyone that's fucking anyone, because I have got a legacy to build. And like, I don't know if you guys know, but I had a pretty fucking great match with Doug Williams a couple of months ago.
Mm.
So, yes, I would like to work with the who's who and who's that of British wrestling and fucking American wrestling. I don't know, just...
All right, well, I want to hear an answer to this, so I'm going to just put a little twist on that and say dead or alive. Who's anyone you've not had a match with? And I'll just go out on a limb and say Luna.
Luna, oh fucking yeah, she is a peach, but not like Attitude Era, thong up her ass, freak show Luna, like Luna in her prime, and also Klondike, like fucking hell, man, World of Sport, Klondike Kate, with her fucking gob, man, everybody hated you. Like, I only just like dream of being as hated as you were, lady. Like, you're a fucking inspo. But yeah, you. Sue, again, because I think that she'd be able to kick my head in less now. Let me think. How about you, husband? Do you fancy another once around the ring?
You what?
Do you remember how I beat you?
No.
I do.
Listen, this is a good one from my mate Daniel Curtis. Hello, Daniel.
Who's that?
Hey, Big Dan Crusher Curtis, how dare you?
I don't know who you are, love.
Oh, no class. If Scarlett could pick 3 wrestlers to punch in the face, who would they be and why? Male or female?
You, mate. Who would I punch in the fucking face? I would punch in the face Ric Flair.
Topical, he's very, yeah, okay.
He's a bit frail at the minute, isn't he? Just like, can Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan be like, count as one?
Yeah, why not?
Right, just because if you retire, please fucking stay retired. You're only damaging your own fucking legacy, and nobody wants to see an old man past his prime fucking overselling everything. Oh, dreadful. And you know what's probably the most controversial thing is I literally can't fucking stand Ric Flair.
We said 3.
Okay, who else would I like to punch in the fucking face? Everyone. I fucking hate everyone. Who do I hate? I literally can't think of like all the people I fucking hate. Gail Kim. Because like I've never in my life been told that I'm too fat and too old by someone who has a less good physique than me and is simultaneously 8 years fucking older than me. You rude bitch. You want to make some fucking TV? How about we make a podcast? Jesus. And she's a bitch. And also...
Well, there you go. There's your 3.
Oh,
really.
yeah, that is 3.
They're not the 3 I'd have thought, but there you go. Hey-ho.
What 3 would you have given me?
Oh, fuck. I don't know. We've got, so many. So many to choose from, but I'd agree with all 3.
Roman Reigns for that fucking Undertaker match.
Oh, God. That was horrible.
It was horrible. How dare you, sir?
Hayley Jefferson. Hello, Hayley. What's her opinion on workers who only want to get themselves over with big WWE style moves? Shady question.
That's a fucking shady question.
I think I know.
Here's a shady answer. The same thing I think about workers, and did you hear me imply inverted commas there? Workers that think the splits is both an entrance gimmick and also a finishing move at the same time. How about that for a shady answer?
Yeah.
Yes, girl.
There you go. Neil Cunningham. Hello, Neil. Question for Scarlett. Who was your toughest opponent and why? Good question.
Doug Williams, because he kicked the living fucking shit out of me and actually broke my vagina.
Well.
That should be a merch t-shirt. Doug Williams broke my vagina.
Yeah, Doug Williams broke my wife's cunt. Cheers, Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 months boat and one into a hanky. Cheers, buddy. Yeah. How did he do it? It was, you flipped up on the top turnbuckle.
No, it's a gory special into the corner and I literally twatted my pubic bone. Nice. My pubic bone on the exposed metal and it sounded like a fucking shotgun.
Yeah, it did.
It was so loud.
It looked good, though.
It looked amazing. I was really pleased with how good it looked, but holy fuck, that hurt.
Well, we're going to get on to a controversial one here from Dan again. Dan's throwing them out here tonight. In Scarlett's opinion, as in your opinion, what promotions in the UK are dog turd?
Well, how am I going to answer this one? So, I work for, in my opinion, the best promotions in the UK. So, that is EWW, so that's Bellatrix, that's WAW, that's World War Wrestling. I would like to say that my appearance on an event or on a show for a promotion is a fucking symbol of quality. So the answer to that question is, which shows do I think are dog turd? All of the ones that I don't appear on, so namely most of them. Yeah?
Okay. Going back to that angry wrestling vet, he did a little piece tonight on about sexism and social conditioning, and saying is gay wrong. No, in the 80s it was why, because of social conditioning. Now in 2017 it's totally okay because of social reconditioning. It's a new world, blah blah blah. But he talks a lot about female wrestling and the fact that it'll probably never get the credit it deserves. So Alfie Hart from Bexhill is one of our boys. Dear old Alfie.
I've never heard of him.
Oh no.
Not Alfie Ethics.
Alfie no ethics.
Alfred no ethics.
But it's a good question. He said, do you agree there will never be mainstream? Well, this is the tip. Women's wrestling will never be mainstream, even bringing in big UFC names like Ronda Rousey to elevate and push it to mainstream.
Well, I don't think applying Rousey to wrestling is going to help the cause. But I agree and disagree controversially because he makes this point about social conditioning and it is right. So because of that reason, I think that it will be a generation or two before women's wrestling really, really becomes the mainstream because men do not like women being better at anything. Men don't like it. Men don't like fucking women's football, women's cricket, women's wrestling, women's MMA. But hey, when was the last time fucking our men's cricket team won anything fucking notable? Our men's football team won anything notable? Okay? The girls are going out there and fucking smashing shit. Because girls don't just have to compete with other girls. We have to compete with guys for fucking basic respect. Guys just have to compete with guys. Like, you're set in your world and it's comfortable, and you don't like the parameters being changed. And that's what it is. But what I will also say is that I'm very passionate about being one of the catalysts that fucking inspire that change. Because I have, in the space of 3 or 4 years, taken the intergender wrestling concept. I've consistently been fucking wrestling dudes. And now we're at a stage where, at our home promotion, fans will come and they don't see a chick wrestling a dude and it's an intergender match. They just see 2 fucking wrestlers. And that is important. That's so fucking important. Because, like, I am not good for a girl. I am not a good women's wrestler. I am fucking good. And I'm passionate. So why is it that that's any less fucking valid because I don't have a dick? Because what I've got in my fucking pants is nobody else's business.
Balls.
What's that?
Balls. Yeah, I'd agree with that, really. I can't remember which commentator it was, but he said that, I think it was John McEnroe said, you know, if Serena Williams was in the men's rankings, that she'd be like fucking 700th in the world.
She'd fucking smash them up. And do you know why? Because she's got shit to prove. Because we've had to put up with this fucking sexist bullshit for centuries.
Yeah, I think in some sports, I think in some sports, you could put women and men on the same playing field, whether it'll ever happen in our day and age.
Tell me that I am any different to a fucking cruiserweight male.
No,
I've just got titties.
No, absolutely. We also have a lot of the males, but you know, my point is that, like, you couldn't put a female football team on the same pitch as a male football team because.
Well, do you know why? Because they fucking carry on playing when they've got broken legs.
Yeah, I know, but they haven't. To me, they, you know, as great as they are, some sports it just wouldn't translate.
No, this is the thing where you were saying about the defence and the goalkeeping was really shitty. But if women's football had the money coming in and the fucking attention and the coaches and everything that the fucking men have, then why wouldn't those problems be sorted out? Of course they'd be fucking sorted out. It's just that that's not ever fucking happened because the industry isn't as such that money is going into them that they can spend it.
No, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I mean, I think in some, you know, if you put Ronda Rousey in there with Floyd Mayweather, she wouldn't stand a fucking chance. Women haven't got the same twitch muscle fibres, etc., etc. However, on an even playing field, like say, you know, with wrestling, and you're able to compete on that same level, that's awesome. Because it's not just a gimmick anymore, is it?
No,
it's not just a sideshow.
It drives me when I'm given a challenge like that, like fucking like Phil Bateman or Doug or just like any of the opponents that you've given me that have been fucking fantastic, that I've taken so much from and learned so much from. But it just makes me more hungry to push the fucking change. So it's like, I did this last time. What the fuck can I do next time? And it's not about, like, I don't need to fucking go up onto a balcony 100 foot up and do a triple fucking moonsault to get over. Like, we were popping like 2,000 people with a fucking reversal from an abdominal stretch.
Yeah, exactly. So you do, you know, going back to the original question, you do think that there might be a day
There will be a fucking day.
Where women and men can compete on the same playing field.
There will be a fucking day, but I think there will be a long time before we see it, and we're going to need some more fucking pioneers. So any girls, like the girls from Zeus Gym, that Laura and Precious, that are having this exact same thing. Like, I know you guys are listening to this, and like, I know that you relate to it, because women's powerlifting is like fucking not taken as seriously as the men's powerlifting, and that's where all the money and prestige is. But I know that you guys train just as hard, like if not fucking harder. Like, I know that you guys know what I'm saying. Like, and it's gonna take fucking me, it's gonna take you girls. Like, we have to carry on inspiring the next generations and making sure that they are hungrier than we are and that they drive change harder than we have. And if we can do that, then yes, we will see that. But I don't think that I will see that in my lifetime. And yes, it makes me sad, but it makes me happy that I'm driving the change in the right direction.
It'd be nice. I think someone said recently they think in the next 10 years you'll see the first Premier League female football manager. I think that's a step in the right direction too.
Absolutely.
So maybe we will, maybe we won't. But it's a nice take
We
on
could
it.
start with a female president. That would be nice.
Yeah. Topical.
Trump sucks.
So we're close to wrapping it up here. So something I just wanted to cover, we haven't covered really so far. You're obviously a self-made businesswoman. You've been running Scarlett's now for over 3 years and have an enormous clientele who come from all over the country to see your array of weird cakes and freak shakes and creations that you design. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Okay, so it became a thing when I was made redundant. I used to run a pub, and the brewery closed the pub, and I was made homeless, jobless, everything all in one foul swoop, which is when I moved down to live with you. And I started baking just so I had something to do whilst I was picking up the odd bar shifts and cafe shifts down here. But it was something like I'd been spending my life trying not to do, because like my grandma was amazing at it, my mother was amazing at it, and it's just like, you know who I am. It's just like I don't want to follow in footsteps. Like I want to cast my own. So it wasn't a surprise that I had a very natural talent for cake, and there's just like a lot of techniques and bits and pieces like I just instinctively knew how to do, whether it was from when I was younger and baking with my grandma or whatever, just seeing my mum do it. So I sort of did bits and pieces, ended up making birthday cakes for your colleagues, and then for the cafe I was working at, and then it snowballed from there, and basically it ended up with me being offered this premises and basically putting my money where my mouth is. And it's been an absolute labour of love. So everything that's in that place is my own creation, my own invention, is our own special stamp. So every recipe is mine, or it's my grandma's or my mother's. So there's legacy there as well. But as far as techniques and things and modernisation and the twists and design and stuff, that's all mine. And it's funny, it's become sort of like a living, breathing entity by itself, and become much more famed and exciting like I ever imagined.
I was just going to say, because it's obviously very fashionable, that kind of thing. It's a luxury rather than a necessity. So to keep yourself...
I disagree, because why I think that Scarlett's is not a luxury and is a necessity, because a coffee or a piece of cake or a milkshake is an affordable treat. So even when there was a recession, even if you're on a budget with children, it's like $3.95 that you can just go out and spend and then have something that's amazing. And it's an experience as well. So you're coming into this fun, vibrant, colourful place where the staff are fun and vivacious and like want to take really good care of you, and you're having these products that are made with absolute love, that are designed to just be nostalgic but fantastical, and that's really what I wanted to hone in on, because I don't believe that a shake and cake place like is necessarily a luxury. I think it is an affordable treat, and I think like you're better served taking your kids for like a milkshake that's made with homemade ice cream and fresh milk from the dairy up the road, and where everything is traceable and all the staff know exactly everything that's in it because we've made it that morning.
But have you managed to stay ahead of the game when so many other people are doing, like you come up with all these unusual Willy Wonka sort of creations that seem to become hits and that? Where do you get these?
It's important to celebrate the things that make you different, and the thing that makes Scarlett's different is me, and because I am very much a child at heart and always will be, so I like to explore colours and flavours and textures, and I like to explore inspiration, whether it's Alice in Wonderland or whether it's Tim Burton or whether it's DC color. It can be anything, but anything transfers into cake and milkshake world. So I just sort of like wait for something to grab me. You know that I've got notebooks upon notebooks of just insane scrawlings and scribblings and recipe ideas and sketches of cakes that like I will make, or maybe I'll come back to in like a few months' time and be like, oh, what this one needs is this, and then we'll put it on the shelf, and then it will be a whole thing. I'm very fortunate and very lucky that I've been fairly good at being ahead of the curve on all trends, and also inspired a few of them, which is fantastic. We were like the first place ever to do like the mermaid hot chocolate, which is just like much copied and then turned into the unicorn craze, which originated at Skarlett's. And it's just like, and we've got things that for me are dead fads. So like the freak shake thing to me is just like, I feel over that, but that's still literally as popular as when we first put it on our menu. And it was like a natural progressive thing that we've got these amazing cupcakes and these amazing donuts and like all these homemade treats and these banging milkshakes. Like, why would you just not put them together to make one great big disgusting super treat? And it's just like, and people come for that moment, for like the Instagram moment, and also for that just regression where you've been given something that's just utterly crazy, and you can see them look at it with just like that childish sparkle in your eyes. And it means a lot to me to see people enjoying like just the fruits of my labour. So I get up really early every morning. I bake every single morning. I bake late into the night. Like, I'm a workaholic. Like, you know how hard I
know it.
Long days.
And like I say, the most important thing is like I say, you're now able to employ, 7 members of staff.
Yeah, and it's
which is coming from nothing. That is impressive.
Well, coming from not having a job myself to creating a job for me to then creating a job for 6 other people, I never ever thought that I'd be able to do that, and I'm going to carry on with that expansion into the next year because I want another premises. So that will mean training managers, training new teams, and it's just like I'm really, really keen to give my team at the moment the opportunity to be my leaders of the future. So I've got some great staff that are wonderful at their job, and it's important to me that I embrace the things that makes them the things that they're fantastic at. So like I've got Paris, who's a fantastic photographer. So most of our content is Paris's artistic eye. Then so she will do the Facebook updates, the social media. She'll keep everything looking really great and interesting and engaging. And I've got Keegan, who's very charming, has a really great way with customers. And whether they're old ladies that like to come in that have a bit of lunch, the ladies at lunch, whether they're battle mummies that just like aren't necessarily like, I'm not going to be their cup of tea as a person. He's very good. She's very disarming with children. And the whole team are fantastic. And we have an ethos where it is important that the staff play at work. So quite often we'll have loads of Instagram stories of whatever our game is that week, or us just sodding around. But it's incredibly hard work. But it's important for me that the team also play together, because it creates this sort of dynamic where everyone's friends and everyone's fun, and it doesn't feel like you're coming in and you feel like you're part of something. And like 9 times out of 10, if people are sat on separate tables, everybody in the shop talks together and there's one conversation. And I've never been to anywhere where that happens, where strangers leave as friends. And as cliched and weird as that is, it's not a very British thing to do, is it? But every day I see people bonding over milkshakes and cupcakes and just fun and silliness. And I think you can change the world with a little bit of silliness.
Well, that's a nice way to wrap that up. A quick question from Laura Burnham. Who's your favourite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
Oh, we're getting into serious stuff. It's going to be Raphael because, right, Leonardo's bossy, boring. Donatello's got shit weapons. Michelangelo is a party dude, and I don't like his lackadaisical attitude. So Raphael, wisecracking, red bandana, sorted.
Fair enough. Last question. Anything you'd like to say to your fans, or anything that you've got planned coming up that you would like to speak about? Or certainly the match with Mercedes Martinez is, I know, something you're working very hard towards. How would you like to wrap that up?
I'm just going to wrap it up by thanking everyone for their support thus far and allowing me to prove them wrong. Please continue on this crazy journey with me. I can't wait to wrestle Mercedes in September. It's a wonderful opportunity. I literally cannot wait to get my teeth into that match because I really, really feel like I deserve it. Like this time last year, I might have been intimidated by that match, but like I feel so fucking ready for that. I cannot wait. And then we've got EWW coming up in October, where I get to defend my world heavyweight title again. And like you don't even know what that means to me. That's a man's belt, and nobody has questioned my reign. Nobody has gone, oh no, you've given the belt to your wife. Oh no, she's a girl. Nobody has done that. And what they've done is
not to our face anyway.
That's because I'll smack them out. But nobody's questioned my work ethic. I'm just like, I am there at the venue before anyone else. I'm the last one to leave the venue. Same with training. I have time for all the trainees. I have time for everyone that helps. And I have the least amount of time for myself out of everyone on show day. And maybe you would agree with that.
Yeah, of course.
But I just like, I want to be the inspirational champion. And whether you are the girls like Maddie, or whether you're the guys like, I don't know, like you, or like Phil, or like Jace, like, that just sit back and be like, actually, shit, she fucking deserves it. Like, that just means so much. So just fucking carry on this fucking roller coaster. Follow my social media. I'm sure you'll be a doll, and link it all up on this page with the podcast.
Well, I was going to say, where can people get hold of you if they need to?
Okay, so at Extreme Scarlett on Twitter, or Scarlett_bombshell from hell on Instagram. I much prefer Instagram. Or Scarlett Wrestler on Facebook. But pretty much if you just Google me with a K and 2 T's, spell it correctly, thank you very much, I'll just pop up. Come and like buy our DVDs and come and see me fucking live. Believe the hype.
And if you're in the area, you'll shop?
Oh, so that's Scarlett's of Battle, so you'll fucking know it when you see it. It's bright pink and it's full of all the happiest shit in the fucking world. So pop up. It's on Old Ladies Court in Battle. It's behind Battle House of Flowers. I have the nicest cupcakes, nicest milkshakes, and I've got some spicy ladies and boys working for me, so come and enjoy the candy.
Spicy boys.
Spicy boys.
Well, those are my favourite kind. So look, we're going to wrap it up. It's been, the time's flown. Since it's an hour episode, it's been way longer than that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, well done, and thank you for everything.
I get paid, right?
Yeah. Anywhere else to see?
He once punched his mother in her mammary glands. It's angry Stu Allenov, stiff right hand.
Oh, thanks for that flatliner. Anyway, that's it from this week's episode. Thank you again for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I was quite therapeutic in a lot of ways, I think. I quite enjoyed. Yeah, it was unusual, that interviewing the wife, but it was good. We've just got some good news. We got some great guests coming up. We got confirmation from Saraya tonight. We're going to be doing an interview with her. We got Alpha Female, who we're going to be speaking to after her appearance on the WWE Mae Young Classic, and also going to be talking to Gorgeous George, the ex valet of Macho Man Randy Savage. So we've got some great guests coming up. Next week we're going to have my tag partner on, John Cosell, Titan, talking about his time in wrestling, and also his movie work. So yeah, it's going to be something to look forward to. So thank you ever so much again for listening, and toodle pip.
Stiff right hand.